The calibration strip on the edge of the table fed itself forward by 3 millimeters, stopped, then moved the same 3 millimeters again. Mara left her hand where it was. The strip should have advanced once. The printer beside it gave no fault tone, just a thin motor sound, then stillness. On the wall, a narrow band of station light ran across the glass partition and held there, pale and level. She touched the paper with one finger, not to fix it, just to feel whether the second movement had wrinkled the edge. It hadn't. Across the room, Ilyan was on one knee beside an open floor panel, a driver turning once between his fingers before he set it down. He looked at the strip, then at the clock in the corner display. Again, he said. Mara pressed the resend key. The strip advanced once. Clean. Correct. She tore it off and read the output without changing expression. Orbital traffic summaries. Docking permissions. A weather relay from the equatorial arrays. At the bottom, where military channels usually left a blank checksum line, there was a timestamp and nothing after it. Ilyan stood and crossed the room, wiping 2 fingers on a cloth that had already gone dark with sealant dust. Mara held the strip out. He read it while standing, then reached past her to tap the display awake. No packet loss, he said. Mara slid her chair back half an inch. Enough for him to use the console. Enough to keep the ritual of the room intact. The station around them kept its small sounds. Vent pulse. Cooling tick. A cart moving far down the corridor, then not moving anymore. Ilyan pulled the channel history. One line appeared, then another, both stamped from Earth Command. Both acknowledged by the station. Neither showed content. Mara lifted the paper strip again and flattened its edge with her thumb. Someone sent us an empty order, she said. Ilyan checked the system clock once more. On the glass partition, the line of light had shifted by less than a finger's width. Or, he said, something removed the words after they arrived. The second strip came out clean again. Mara didn't tear it right away. She let it hang, the paper curling slightly under its own weight. The printer motor clicked once, as if considering another feed, then settled. Ilyan had already opened the deeper logs. Not the surface relay, not the filtered traffic, raw intake. He scrolled without hurry, pausing at intervals that didn't match any visible pattern. Same timestamp, he said. Mara pulled the strip free and laid it flat beside the first. The edges aligned almost perfectly, except for a slight difference where her thumb had pressed one more than the other. 2 arrivals, she said. 2 acknowledgments. No payload, Ilyan added. He leaned closer to the display, one hand resting lightly on the console edge, not quite touching the keys. The station light caught along his wrist and stayed there, unmoving. Mara reached past him and adjusted the brightness down by a fraction. The text softened but didn't blur. Run a reconstruction, she said. Ilyan didn't answer. He already had. A third window opened. Packet fragments, timing gaps, routing echoes. The system tried to rebuild what had never properly formed. It hesitated at certain points, repeating a small delay before moving on. There's structure, he said after a moment. Mara folded the second strip once, then unfolded it again. The crease didn't fully disappear. Language, she asked. Not exactly. He isolated a segment and replayed its arrival. A faint sequence of signals appeared, 2 regular for noise, 2 incomplete for code. Mara watched the pattern repeat. Something stripped it, she said, deliberately. Ilyan shifted his weight slightly, enough for the floor panel behind him to give a quiet, hollow response. Or something refused to carry it, he said. The distinction stayed between them. Mara gathered both strips and stacked them, aligning the edges more carefully this time. The top one still sat a fraction off. On the console, the system paused again just a beat longer than it should before continuing its reconstruction. Neither of them touched it. Ilyan set a marker at the first delay. Not a flag, just a quiet tag in the timeline, the kind the system would ignore unless asked. He let the playback run past it, then brought it back again. The same hesitation, the same narrow gap where something should have carried through. Mara shifted the strips a few centimeters to the left, clearing space near the console. She didn't look at him while he worked. Her attention stayed on the paper, on the faint difference in ink density between the 2 prints. Cycle it through a different route, she said. Ilyan didn't respond immediately. He changed the pathing, rerouted the reconstruction through an auxiliary buffer that rarely saw traffic. The system accepted the change without comment. The sequence rebuilt again. This time, the delay appeared earlier. Ilyan leaned back slightly. Not far, just enough to take the screen in as a whole. It's not the station, he said. Mara turned one strip over. The back was blank, except for a slight warmth where the printer head had passed. Then it's upstream. He nodded once, already moving. A new window. External relays. Civilian networks first. Clean, predictable. Then the deeper channels, where military routing overlapped with older infrastructure. The delays followed. Not fixed to one node. Not tied to distance or load. They appeared, shifted, reappeared again, like something choosing where to hesitate. Mara reached for the console and tapped the replay key herself. The pattern came through once more. A fragment of signal. A pause. Then continuation, but thinner, as if something had been taken out between two frames. She let the sequence finish before speaking. It's consistent, she said. Ilyan didn't look away from the screen. Not in position, he said. In behavior. Behind them, the open floor panel gave another soft, hollow note as the station adjusted its internal pressure by a fraction. Mara stacked the strips again, this time not aligning them. Can you isolate what's missing? She asked. Ilyan watched the last segment resolve, then dissolve back into raw data. No, he said, only that it was there. The console light dimmed slightly, then returned to its previous level without warning. Neither of them moved to correct it. Mara slid one of the strips under the glass lip of the console, pinning it in place. The edge caught slightly, then settled flat. Send a reply, she said. Ilyan glanced at her, then back to the screen. To what? Mara didn't answer right away. She tapped the blank checksum line on the display, once, as if it might respond to pressure. Same channel. Same timing, she said. No content. Ilyan's hand hovered over the input field. He didn't type. Instead, he opened the transmission settings and matched the incoming pattern. Packet size, interval spacing, even the minor jitter the system usually corrected out. You're asking it to recognize itself, he said. Mara adjusted the strip again under the glass. It had shifted a fraction when she touched the console. Or whatever removed it, she said. Ilyan built the message frame slowly. Empty payload. Valid headers. A timestamp aligned to the previous arrivals, offset by the smallest measurable unit the station allowed. He paused before sending, eyes moving once across the parameters. Once, he said. Mara didn't look at him. Once. He transmitted. The console registered the send without delay. The packet left the station cleanly, passing through the first relay node with no deviation. Ilyan watched the path extend outward, a thin line threading through mapped space. Then, halfway through the second relay, the line dimmed. Not a break, not a loss, just a reduction, as if the signal had been pressed thinner. Mara leaned forward slightly. Hold it there, she said. I can't, Ilyan replied. It's already through. The system logged the completion. Acknowledgement returned, blank, like the others. Mara reached under the glass and pulled the strip free. The paper made a soft sound as it slid out, the edge now faintly curved. Check the return path, she said. Ilyan did. The delay was there again. Not at the start. Not at the end. In the middle, where the signal should have been most stable. He marked it without speaking. Mara placed the strip on top of the others, not aligning them this time. They're not blocking it, she said. Ilyan watched the mark point, the place where something had passed through and come out altered. No, he said. They're letting it go. The strips had begun to curl at the corners. Mara pressed them flat with the side of her hand, not forcing them, just holding them there until the paper remembered the shape. When she lifted her hand, one edge rose again by a millimeter. Ilyan duplicated the transmission. Not identical this time. He shifted the timing by a fraction, introduced a slight irregularity in the spacing, something small enough to pass as drift, large enough to be measured if anything was watching closely. Second pass, he said. Mara didn't answer. She was looking at the alignment of the three strips, not trying to correct them anymore. just noting how each one refused to match the others. The packet moved. First relay, clean. Second, again that narrowing, the same place, though his adjustment had moved the expected midpoint elsewhere. The reduction didn't follow the structure. It held its own position. Ilyan slowed the playback and layered both transmissions together. "They don't care what we send," he said quietly. "Only where it passes." Mara reached for the console and placed her finger on the screen, just beside the marked delay. "Anchor point," she said. Ilyan expanded the map. The relay nodes fell away, leaving only the coordinates where the change occurred. No station listed. No infrastructure. Just open space between established routes. He cross-referenced older charts. Civilian, military, archival. The location remained empty in all of them. Mara picked up one strip and folded it along the faint crease she'd made earlier. This time, she didn't unfold it. "Send a full packet," she said. Ilyan looked at her. "Content?" he asked. Mara held the folded strip between her fingers, the paper now resisting a second crease. "Everything," she said. "Raw logs. Reconstruction. Our markers." Ilyan turned back to the console. He built the transmission without compressing it, without cleaning it. The data sat heavy in the buffer, unrefined. He sent it. The line extended, steady, until it reached the same point. Then it thinned again. Mara watched the display without leaning in. On the return path, the acknowledgement came back, as before, complete, empty. Ilyan checked the sent packet. Sections were gone. Not random. Not corrupted. Removed with precision that left the structure intact. He didn't speak. Mara placed the folded strip on top of the others. "They're editing," she said. The console light dipped again, then steadied. Ilyan didn't look up this time. He isolated the removed sections from the last transmission, not by content. There wasn't enough left for that, but by absence. He mapped the gaps against the original packet structure, letting the system outline what had been taken by the shape it left behind. Mara slid the folded strip closer to the edge of the console. It stopped just short of the lip, as if it had found its own limit. "Not random," Ilyan said. Mara nodded once. "Consistent, across all sends." He brought the earlier empty acknowledgments back into view, overlaying their timestamps with the gaps from the full packet. Same intervals, same proportions. She adjusted the strip again, this time aligning it with nothing in particular. "What kind of filter removes structure instead of content?" she asked. Ilyan didn't answer directly. He selected one of the gaps and expanded it, forcing the system to treat the absence as if it were data. The interface resisted for a moment, then complied, displaying a placeholder where nothing had passed through. He copied that placeholder into a new transmission field. Mara watched his hands, not the screen. "You're sending the gap," she said. Ilyan set the parameters carefully. No headers this time beyond the minimum required to move it. No correction. No attempt to disguise it as a normal packet. "Once," he said. Mara didn't respond. He transmitted. The line extended outward, thinner from the start, as if the system itself hesitated to carry it. It reached the same coordinate, no delay this time. No narrowing. For a moment, nothing changed. Then the console registered a return. Not an acknowledgement. Not empty. A single line of data appeared. No header. No timestamp. Just a sequence, short and complete. Ilyan didn't touch it. Mara leaned forward, just enough to see it clearly. The pattern matched the gaps. Not what had been removed, but the rule that defined their shape. Mara reached for the folded strip and pressed it flat again, this time fully. On the glass partition, the line of light shifted a fraction more, then held. Ilyan closed the transmission window. Neither of them spoke. The station returned to its measured quiet.